Welcome to World Prism. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon for more breaking updates. The Golden Arches of McDonald's, once a beacon of American influence in Asia, now face a storm of rising protectionism. Once symbols of globalization and Western culture, these fast food outlets are now at the center of a new economic battleground, where the rules are rapidly changing. Across India, it's not just shifting consumer tastes that are shaking the foundations of global trade. Instead, it's the complex web of geopolitics, where international alliances and rivalries are rewriting the playbook for multinational corporations. The stakes have never been higher. Massive tariffs and a surge in nationalist sentiment threaten the very survival of iconic American brands. Protests erupt in city after city, and calls to support local businesses grow louder, putting foreign companies under unprecedented pressure. This is more than a trade dispute. It's a full-blown economic confrontation, with the US targeting India over its ties to Russia. The diplomatic fallout is spilling into boardrooms and onto the streets, as both countries dig in for a prolonged standoff. The fallout is swift. American brands, once aspirational, are now adversarial, caught in a wave of boycotts and political rhetoric. For many Indian consumers, buying American is no longer just a choice, but a statement about national identity and sovereignty. What's happening in India is a microcosm of a global shift, where economic interdependence is weaponized, and local preference is on the rise. Around the world, countries are rethinking their reliance on foreign brands, and local businesses are seizing the moment to innovate and expand. The ease of global expansion is gone, replaced by suspicion and a surge in homegrown pride. International companies now face a new reality. To survive, they must earn trust and adapt to local values, or risk being left behind. For McDonald's and its peers, the challenge is existential. Adapt or risk irrelevance in a market of 1.5 billion. Success will depend on their ability to localize menus, respect cultural sensitivities, and build genuine connections with Indian consumers. Their struggle will define the next era of international business, setting the tone for how global brands navigate an increasingly fragmented and unpredictable world. Tariffs, while seemingly straightforward, have evolved into some of the most potent tools in the arsenal of modern economic warfare. No longer just taxes on goods, they are now levers of influence, shaping the global balance of power and rewriting the rules of international trade. The US's decision to double tariffs on Indian imports to 50% was not just a policy shift. It was a bold, calculated response to India's continued trade with Russia, signaling a willingness to use economic pressure to achieve geopolitical aims. Intended to force India's hand and isolate Russia, this move instead sparked a surge of nationalist sentiment across India. Rather than backing down, India responded with its own set of retaliatory measures, fueling a sense of unity and resistance among its people. The consequences quickly rippled through the marketplace. American companies like McDonald's, which rely on imported ingredients and equipment, suddenly faced soaring costs. Their profits were squeezed, and many were forced to consider raising prices or cutting back on operations just to survive. This isn't an isolated incident. Around the world, we're seeing a growing pattern, whether it's the US, China, or now India, where protectionist policies are taking center stage, often at the expense of the free trade ideals that once defined globalization. For rising powers like India and China, these tariffs are viewed as attempts to curb their economic ascent. In response, they double down on supporting local industries, launching countermeasures, and rallying public support behind homegrown brands. The immediate impact is unmistakable. Foreign brands find themselves under financial siege, struggling to stay afloat even before consumer boycotts or official bans come into play. Ultimately, this is a calculated strategy to make the market environment so challenging for American competitors that they are forced to retreat, leaving more space for local champions to thrive. The US tariff hike ignited a political firestorm in India, but the government's response was to turn inward, not escalate. Prime Minister Modi revived the Swadeshi movement, urging Indians to buy local and boycott American goods as a patriotic duty. This wasn't just policy, it was a rallying cry, transforming trade disputes into a national cause. The Swadeshi movement, rooted in India's independence struggle, now targeted American brands as symbols of foreign interference. McDonald's, Coca-Cola, Apple, and others became lightning rods for nationalist sentiment. The government's message was clear: every purchase is a political act. The boycott became a new freedom struggle, linking consumer choice to national pride. For American brands, their global recognition became a liability overnight. The political establishment had weaponized everyday consumption. The boycott call spread rapidly, amplified by influencers like Baba Ramdev and grassroots groups like the Swadeshi Jagran Manch. Protests erupted, effigies burned, and lists of American brands to avoid circulated on WhatsApp. Indian business leaders joined in, framing the boycott as both patriotic and profitable. The movement's reach was unprecedented. Politicians, cultural icons, and entrepreneurs all pushing the same message. Swadeshi became a dinner table topic, a viral trend, and a street-level campaign. For McDonald's, this was more than a policy challenge. It was a coordinated, nationwide movement. The brand now faced a public relations crisis on every front. Indian companies wasted no time, launching bold campaigns to position themselves as the patriotic alternative. Dabbur's "Born There Not Here" ad directly challenged Colgate, framing the choice as national loyalty. Amul's witty social media posts and Rediff's Mail of India campaign tapped into the Swadeshi wave. The marketing battlefield shifted from price and quality to national identity. Indian brands urged consumers to support local champions, turning patriotism into a business strategy. For American brands, local sourcing and Indian ownership weren't enough. Their American identity was now a liability. The competitive landscape had changed. Nationalism was the new marketing weapon. McDonald's and others watched as their rivals used the moment to win hearts and market share. The Swadeshi movement had redefined what it meant to be a successful brand in India. Despite the noise, Indian consumers remain divided. In big cities, many still flock to McDonald's and Starbucks, separating politics from personal choice. The boycott's real power lies in social pressure, especially outside urban centers. Viral messages and influencer appeals are slowly shifting attitudes, planting seeds of doubt about foreign brands. The immediate impact on sales is limited, but the long-term threat is real, a gradual erosion of loyalty. Every purchase now carries political weight, and the reputational risk for American brands is growing. McDonald's faces a precarious future. Its core customers remain, but the market is shifting beneath its feet. The boycott has politicized consumption, making every transaction a statement. The real danger is not a sudden collapse, but a slow, steady decline as local alternatives gain ground. China is watching the US-India rift closely, seeing opportunity in the chaos. As tensions rise and headlines dominate the news, Chinese policymakers and business leaders are quietly strategizing their next moves. They see the shifting landscape not just as a diplomatic challenge, but as a rare opening to expand their influence in markets where American brands once reigned supreme. As American brands struggle to maintain their foothold, Chinese companies could step in, offering themselves as less politically risky partners. With a keen understanding of local sensitivities, they're positioning their brands as more adaptable and in tune with the region's shifting priorities. This could mean a new wave of Chinese fast food chains and consumer brands, making their mark across India and beyond. The Swadeshi movement in India mirrors China's own protectionist tactics, both weaponize domestic markets for strategic gain. By encouraging consumers to buy local, these nations are building economic resilience and sending a clear message to foreign competitors: adapt or be left behind. This signals a broader Asian trend. Global brands must now navigate not just consumer tastes, but volatile geopolitics. The rules of engagement are changing, and companies must be nimble, reading the political winds as closely as they study market data. For McDonald's and others, the era of easy expansion is over. The playbook that once guaranteed success no longer applies in a world where alliances shift overnight and public sentiment can turn on a dime. Survival now means localizing operations, highlighting Indian roots, and adapting to a new, unpredictable landscape. Brands must go beyond surface-level changes, embedding themselves in local culture and responding to the unique demands of each market. The golden age of American dominance is ending, replaced by fierce geo-economic competition. The battleground is no longer just about taste or price, but about national pride and strategic alliances. Brands must master not just marketing, but the political currents shaping Asia's future. Success will depend on understanding the region's history, its aspirations, and the subtle interplay between business and politics. The question isn't if American brands will survive, but how they'll adapt to a world where every burger is political. In this new era, even the smallest menu change can carry outsized meaning. The next chapter of global business will be written in the shadow of these shifting alliances, where adaptability, cultural intelligence and political savvy will determine who thrives and who fades away.